Hello! Today's episode of the Stitch Journal is all about finishing this page. I'm adding extra little touches that are going to elevate this from just being really pretty to absolutely a little bit extra and something else indeed. So I hope you'll enjoy watching, I hope you'll enjoy stitching along, and I'll see you at the end. Today is all about just finishing off this page, and I've changed my mind about what I was going to do. I actually wanted to do quite a big flower on here, but when I was looking at it the other day, I just sort of all of a sudden thought it was almost there, and I didn't want to gild the lily, as it were, by adding some big something here. So it's all about those little things that are going to take it from what's looking quite pretty into just a little bit extra. Always add the little bit extra. So first of all, I never put the dandelion leaves on. I've added a couple in there, but I wanted to show you how easy it is to cut out a dandelion leaf. I'm using a bit of felted skirt here. You could use felt, you could use fabric. I've actually cut one out there in the Chartreuse linen scraps from my Litch and Duster that I'm on with. So you can cut it out of anything. That is actually a bit fraying, but I'm going to use it anyway. And I've cut these ones out already to use. So the easiest way to cut a dandelion leaf is to draw yourself sort of like a thin kite shape. And I've just drawn it on there just so you could see what the shape was like. And I might do it with a bigger one as well. So I'll cut it out first. I don't need a big one, but it'll be easier for everybody to see. I'll cut out my little kite shape first. The main thing is to make the top of the kite wide and then a long bottom. Okay, so there's my new little squashed kite shape. So I need a little piece out in between the point and the widest edge. So I start and cut in, start and cut, and then just pull round. And if I turn it over, because it's easier to cut on the right hand side all the time if you're using right handed scissors, start and cut, pull everything round. There we go. I can take that point off a bit, that's fine. So now I want another couple of them there. So I'm going to head my scissors sort of diagonally in towards where a middle vein would be, start and cut, pull everything round, and just keep cutting. You'll just get a lovely little hook shape. And then when you want to do the other side, flip it over, do exactly the same again. Cut in, keep cutting, pull. Start cutting, keep cutting and pull. And what you end up with is, as near as anybody's going to notice, a nice little dandelion leaf. The main thing is they have these upward facing little points. So I don't need that great big one, but I do need these ones. I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got the linen one. Can I make another linen one? Make another linen one. Anyway, in my needle I have a piece of yellow thread out of my tangle, and I think it's just a bit of soft cotton. It's not stranded, and it isn't something I could split down, so I'm not sure where it's from, but it's sort of a yellowy colour because the ribs on dandelion leaves are usually quite a pale green. And so I'm going to arrange these on. I'm just going to see how I want them to be. Sort of maybe something like this. Oh, somebody's mowing their lawn. So, because I've got the door open, because it's quite nice. It's quite nice today. I think something like that. Maybe. So I'm going to start and put these on. once I've worked it out, I can just put them to one side while I try and sew them. So I'm going to start, and I've got my yellow thread in my needle. I'm going to just make sure they all end up at the bottom where I know that I've got all of the stems heading to. And I'm going to start just down from the point, and I think I'm just going to running stitch it on, and I'm not even going to bother. Oh no, I'm going to back stitch. That's what I'm going to do. See, I changed my mind straight away. I'm going to back stitch. I don't want a running stitch, I think. But I'm not even bothering to go through to the back of the work. I'm just stitching through the top. There's quite a few layers on here now. And I can curve the leaf if I want. There'll be enough give in a little shape like this. If I wanted to curve the edge down or curve it one way, I can do that. So you can just alter the way the leaf lies as you're stitching. I'll just do that little back stitch in there. Go through to the back. And I'll come up for the next one. And let me think, let's put that one on. I'm going to lie that one there. So I'll just back stitch up that one. Actually, this time I'm going to running stitch because I'll come backwards all the time. So I'll double running stitch this. So if I running stitch up the leaf, I'll just curve that in a bit, I think. You always see the dandelion leaves curve towards the ground. I'll just curve that one in. So I've running stitched right up to the edge, and then if I just turn it round, I can running stitch back into the gaps, and I'll still have something that looks like back stitch, but what it does is it gets me down to the bottom again to start the next leaf. If I'd done it in back stitch, I'd have now had to finish off, but by choosing double running stitch, I can get all the way to the bottom, pull my needle up already, and it looks virtually the same anyway. Next leaf, I'd like a little one that's hooking over, so to do that I think I'll put this one upwards. I'll do it there. How am I doing it? Let me just see. I'm going to start there. I'll take a couple of running stitches. I'm going to go back to the bottom like that, and then I'm going to bend this over, put it where I want it to be, and then come up from there. You can leave the little loop if you want. I'm going to stitch it down because I know it's going to get flattened in the book. And again, I'm going to bring that right down to the bottom of my page, over the top of all this foreground. I think that'll look really nice. Right to the point. Turn it round. And all the way back again. On the way back, because you know it's already stitched down, you just have to go through the top if you want. You don't actually have to stitch right through. And I'll put that in there, back down to the bottom. I'm ready for the next leaf. I think I'd quite like this one to be up in there. So here I go. Oh, I've pulled out. I'm always doing that. Right, I'll rethread and I'll get this, just put that there. I'll get this leaf on there when I've rethreaded my needle. And I'm going to put this other linen one on here. But I'll do the bending thing as well. So I'll put it on facing that way. And then I'm going to bend it down so it comes along the bottom. So the dandelions are on. And I've just taken a little piece of this flannel that has paint on it from something else that I've done. And I've cut out some little teardrop shapes or little petal shapes, just small, so that I can put a little rosette of daisies on. And so I've just got 4 there actually, and I'm just going to put them on, and I'm sort of hiding them a little bit under that dandelion, but I just want to be able to put a little rosette of daisies on. And so 4 or 5 little petal shapes or teardrop shapes. And as long as they all just sort of head to the middle of wherever you're going to be, they're going to make a lovely little daisy rosette. And so I'm going to stitch them on in exactly the same way, except I've already arranged them there. And I've got this blue-green in my needle that's come out of the tangle. There's 2 strands of stranded, and I'm just going to stitch them on. And again, I'm going to use running stitch. I'm not going to go right up to their ends. I'm just going to come back down. I might want to just thicken the line up a bit. Just take them out of the way. So I'm back down to the bottom. I'll get them all stitched on and then I'll thicken the line up, I think. It doesn't matter you're going over everything else. If you build a picture up in stages, you'll get more of a 3D effect, because some things will be hidden, some things will be on the front, some things will be right at the foreground. But in the end, it all goes together to make something that doesn't look quite so flat. You could definitely just embroider these instead. Nothing, I like to just do a hybrid, like fabric and embroidery. I think it looks interesting. You could definitely satin stitch these. You could have put them on with fishbone stitch. That would also have looked lovely. The fabric's going to look nice. So now that I've got those on, I actually do want to just thicken the line up. So I'm just going to go up each one. I'm going to do a straight stitch from halfway up the vein back down to the bottom again, just to sort of thicken it up a bit so it's not so fine. I'm getting caught around my dandelions. You will get caught around your dandelions probably. There. And that's ready for some nice daisies now. So while I've got this thread in my needle, well, I might as well put more grass in. There's no point in changing, so I'll just start laying in some grass. I'm just going to use straight stitches. You could use split stitch. I'm just going to use some straight stitches. Go up from the bottom. You can audition where it's going to be if you want. If you don't want to take such a big one, you can do a split stitch and get up to the top like that, and then just take a small stitch and put another one in. It can come in front of everything, it can go behind. It can bend. I'll bend that one. That's going to be a bent leaf. Take it down here. But if you want to put it in the hoop, just put it in the hoop to do the big straight stitches. They'll be perfectly fine. I'm just going to work my way right across. I'm not even thinking particularly. I'm just putting those stitches in wherever, because I know they're going to build up into a cohesive design. That little leaf's almost hidden under stitches now, but that's just perfectly okay, because that's what happens to leaves. The leaves come in front of them. A couple of little stitches is going to make me finished. I can cut the end off and in for my thread jar. Have a little look. Okay, I think that's definitely building up here. I'd like some more feather stitch over here, I think, but I'm going to start and put some little tiny flowers in, because it's nice to build up some things in front, some things behind. So if I start with some tiny stitches now, some will get hidden and some will stay on top. I'm going to use, yes, sort of better with the sky. I know I'm not really in the sky, but that's going to be better. I'll see if there's a one in the tangle first before I cut it. What's this one here? Look at that, it's coming out straight away. Oh, perfect, that goes back. That's made my day, bringing that out of there. Now this is stranded, but it's got a bit of a wiggle on it. Can you see? It's not quite flat. It's got a wiggly, I think that's quite a vintage one. I'm going to take 2 strands. Just leave it there in case I lose it. And I think I'm going to start over here. I'm just going to put some, I'm going to keep them quite low down, and I'm just going to put some little crosses in. Could do French knots. I might try some French knots actually. I'm just going to put, maybe that's too small. Let me see, might need to be bigger. I think they need to be bigger. They're going to be right down in the grass though. I'll do a bigger cross. I think that's what I'm going for. A bigger cross than I imagined. And you could count them as forget-me-nots, you could count them as Veronica, like a one called Bird's Eye here. That would be nice. Bird's Eye is quite often in the bottoms of the grass. Little pale blue, little rounded flowers. I know I'm doing them with a cross, but they're going to do the same job. I'll bunch a few up together. And then have a space and put the crosses all at different angles. Finish that off. I'll finish that thread. This thread seems to have a nice bit of a sheen, and even though those crosses are little, they're actually shining out, so I'm quite pleased with that. Do a few more over here. Just wherever your needle wants to land is going to be good enough. Put them so that they're behind the other ones, just peeping out. That one's disappeared actually, never mind. Oh, they're really pretty. I don't want them to end up going too high. I want them to be in the grass rather than the little white ones are going to be climbing up high. Might as well finish my thread. I've not got many on. It's only a few extra stitches. I'm going to leave the very bottom of this bit of wool unstitched. and it actually has brown running stitch along it at the moment. I think I'm quite happy with that as it is. I don't think I want to embellish that anymore. This is going to be my last little bit of bird's eye, and I will fasten that off. I'm going to put my last piece in my needle, and I'm going to do the same on this side. I finished putting in the little blue crosses, and for all they're just really tiny, they definitely bring something to the whole piece of flowery meadow. And I've now got 2 strands of the off-white stranded cotton in my needle, and I'm just wandering up and down with little fly stitches, just sprinkling them about. They're not very big, they're smaller than the ones I did for the red campion, but I just want to sprinkle them through. I'm thinking of the little flowers called stitchwort and the way that they go through the undergrowth and the grassy verges. I've actually got 5 petals, but I didn't want to do another little 5 one, so I think they're going to look fine. And I am associating them with the feather stitch, because that's what I was thinking about when I was putting that in, sort of like bed straws and stitchwort and things. I'm just going to sprinkle them about. If they go over the top of something else, I'm not going to worry about it. Just taking a little bite of fabric, making sure I catch the loop and put a stalk on. And you can see them coming through there. And I'm going to do a similar little piece over here, and then I think the last thing I'm going to do is put some little daisies through. I've finished doing all the sprinkling of the little white flowers. I do want to do some feather stitch down here, but I'm going to get on with the daisies. Now, I did ribbon daisies on the crazy patchwork page. I can just show you that here. There. Now, they would have worked really well here, but obviously I've done them there. So if you would like to see ribbon daisies and do ribbon daisies, then just refer back to the crazy patchwork page that has the hydrangeas on, because they would have worked really, really nicely where I'm doing them. But I want to do them a bit different because I'm on a different page. So I'm going to put them in here. I've just drawn myself 2 little circles there, and I've just done it with my permanent pen because I want you to be able to see that, because it's nice to have a little guide. And in my needle I've picked 2 pieces out of the tangle, and I'm just using them together, so there's actually 4 strands here. There's quite a nice lemon yellow there, and then this is sort of a straw, and neither one of them did I think was quite right, so I've just put them both together, and I thought, oh well, it'll be quick to do French knots if I'm using 4 strands in the needle. So I'm just going to French knot the middles. There we go, 1 wrap down to the fabric, pull through. That's lovely. Going to do another one, and I'll call that a day because I don't need these daisies to be very big. So 1 wrap, 4 strands. If you're going to go for a fine, if you've got a perfect colour thread, just use your 2 strands and do a finer piece of embroidery. I think I'm going to actually put another one in there, but just 1 wrap again. So I've got my 6 strands of white cotton, stranded cotton in my needle, and I think I'm going to start from the outside and work in. And so for this one I'm just going to do straight stitches. I'm going to do nothing complicated and just show how easy stitching can be pretty. I'm pulling through a few layers here. So to get straight stitches in a nice circle, definitely you do not want to be going next to each other and working round. Doing it that way is almost guaranteed for your stitches not to lie properly. So instead, what I'd suggest you do is just space them out. You don't have to do quarters or anything, but just space them out and make sure that you're lying your needle straight across the middle of your flower and putting your needle down. And in this way you'll get all the stitches heading in the right direction. So I'll put one there and I'll go around a bit further. You don't have to draw a circle. See, I know I'm heading to the middle and just put my needle down. You don't have to draw anything, you just have to be aware that, you know, you want your stitches to be about the same, but they don't have to be absolutely the same size. There are variations, and the variations are what's going to make it look beautiful. But I'm just going to go around, head my needle for the middle, and put my needle down. And here I am, back nearly to the beginning. And so I've already got a little flower already heading there. But I definitely want more stitches in. So now I can just fill in between. And I know that as long as I head for the middle all the time, that little daisy is going to look perfectly lovely. And maybe I want shorter stitches and longer. I don't want them all perfect. I want them nearly perfect, but just not quite. I'm not going to stress about it if one's a bit shorter or one's a bit longer. It's probably easier if one ends up a bit shorter. It'll just look like it's been bent back. And so you can see as you come round the second time, you're filling in those stitches, and it's sort of, your needle ends up knowing where to go. Bend that leaf out of the way, and then it'll go on top, and then it'll give me some depth. I'll get another stitch there. I'm pulling because I'm on thick thread, but also I'm on a few layers now. And if I was doing more than just this daisy, I'd probably change my needle to one with a larger eye, so that it was making a better hole to get the thread through. Here I am, nearly there. I'll put that little leaf back, and it'll half go over it and look nice. So I could fit another stitch in there, but I don't think I'm going to bother. I'm going to finish that off and do this flower with a different stitch, just so you can see, and then you can choose for yourself which one you might like to do. I'll just thread through the back, and now I'm actually going to take some of these threads out because I don't want to do the next bit with all 6. I'm going to strand down to 3. There's my 3 strands, that goes on the tangle. I'll get these ones together in my needle. This time I'm going to do chain stitches, detached chain stitches, but I'm going to put them in exactly the same way as that. I'm not going to try and get them all lined up from the very beginning. So I'm just going to head my little detached chain outwards from the middle, and then I'll hook down the loop. I'm going to put a little tail on it, and I'm just going to work around just like I did with the other one. I'm not going to try and get them all in the first go. I'm going to make at least 2 passes around this circle. Keep going down, putting in the chain. Now, do I want to go in front or behind? I think I want to go behind the dandelion leaf. And then the daisy look like it's peeping out. Another one, another chain. I want to make sure that's behind the leaf as well. Just bend my leaf out of the way, hook my chain down and put the leaf back over it. And now I can go into the gaps and put the extra stitches in. You're definitely not going to get as many stitches in this way, but it'll have a different look. And both ways are equally lovely, and there's no right or wrong way or one better than another. It's just a different look. Definitely want another one here. It's going to be totally underneath. There'll only be a little bit getting shown, but it doesn't matter. I'm still going to do the full stitch. Well, they look lovely. I want another couple in, and we want to make them a little bit, like I say, a little bit extra. So I'm just going to finish that off and get the other 3 threads in my needle, the ones I just put here, get them in the needle. And now I just want a couple of extra flowers that are, maybe they're going to face downwards here, so maybe I'll still do the little chain, but I just want a few, and I'll put the stem in at the end. I'll just put the flowers where I want the flowers. Maybe I just need 2 or 3 little chain stitches, lazy daisies together, detached chains. So that can count as one little half open flower. Now that I've finished the white for the daisies, I've got a piece of this is vintage mending thread that I've had for years actually, and I don't normally use it, but it's a good dark pink, and I'm just going to go around, and in however many stitches I want to, I'm just going to do a little stitch coming up from in the middle of the white and going out to the tip, because a lot of daisies, they do have little red edges coming through. And when I say about making things a little bit extra, this is the type of little extra bit that just lifts an embroidery from being, well, pretty anyway, but it just sort of gives it that little extra something. And so I'm just taking that little tiny stitch. It's only a couple of millimeters. I'll show you as I'm going round. And you see what a difference that makes just on doing that. It just makes them really, really lifelike. But I'm just going to go around. I'm going to miss the odd one out. I don't have to do it on every petal. But it's just a tiny little touch. And it just brings the whole embroidery to life. Now I'm going to just finish this little bit off. I have a little look, and maybe just the stalks and a bit of feather stitch here. That's all I think I need on now. I'm pleased I didn't go with another big flower. It would have been too much. But you'll be amazed at the difference if you're doing it for yourself. And if I'd done the daisies with ribbon, I would have done the same thing. In fact, I think I did them with, didn't I do them with paint last time, I think? Right, I'm going to finish that off, and I'm going to put their stalks on. And I'm just going to do it with a bit of, probably a little bit of stem stitch. The daisies are finished, they've got their stalks. I'm putting the absolute final bit in, and that is just a piece of little feather stitch weaving its way down here. And I'm just going to be doing alternate loops, and if I wanted to go behind, I'll go behind, and if I wanted to go on top, I'll go on top. I'm not bothered at all. I'm just going to be very loose and just putting this in wherever I feel it can go. No need to be worrying about how it's going to look. It'll look lovely because it'll look natural. think I don't have to go any further down there. I'm going to take that in behind. And so that looks nice, and I've still got thread in my needle, and you know what I like to do? I don't like to take thread out if I don't need to. So I'm going to come up, where am I going to come up? I'm going to put some straight stitches in. In other words, I'm going to put in more grass and just finish this piece of thread up, and it'll be the end. So I hope there's nothing here that you found too difficult, those of you who are stitching along, because it's all been pretty easy stuff. It's just taking it into stages and making sure that when you're going to do something, you know what you're aiming for. So I'm back up there, I've still got thread, so I'm going to do a little bit of feather stitch again. I'm just going to bring it down into the behind of there, like that. Maybe I'll let it come out from behind. I don't want everything on the front, so that can go in there. So that's a little piece, a piece that's poking out. And oh crikey, where am I going to put the last bit? I'll just come up here. There's hardly anything left. I'll just straight stitch. They're coming in from the outside. They're coming in from off the page, and that is perfectly fine. And there I am, the very last part. One last snip, thread in the jar, and the page is finished. And here it is done. I think that's going to look really pretty beside the butterfly wreath. And it's full of interest, it's full of texture. There was minimal stitching on the sky really, but it didn't need anything else. The focus is here. And although my dandelions were a little bit large scale, by putting the daisies in and the large leaves, I've brought that right up to the foreground. And well, I feel I have anyway, so I hope that you like that. And the little bit of wool, you can't even see where the cut edge is. So that was another good way of putting things in behind and then things in on front. So I'm going to call that page done, and it'll be this one next week to start. And I think I'm going back to some pretty traditional embroidery. So I'm preparing you for that. Anyway, it's my meadow flowers and my sun coming through the thundery clouds. Well, I really hope that you've all enjoyed stitching on your page, and if you want to send me a photo on Instagram, I'd love to see them too, because I'd like to see what your interpretation is and what colours you've used, because I'd be interested to see them. I think in the end it wasn't exactly the way I was thinking it was going to be. I was going to actually put poppies on here, and I was going to use a particular embroidery stitch that I thought you would enjoy learning about. But in the end, I didn't feel it was going to add something. It really needed to just stay as it was. And so I've kept the poppies, or that stitch anyway, for a different time. And with that, I will just say thank you so much for coming to see me here at Marion's World, and I hope you're really enjoying doing your stitch journal, because I really do. And thank you so much, and yeah, press me the thumbs up or the subscribe or the whatever else, and yeah, support me on my channel however you like, with comments on Ko-fi, wherever. Just it's all really appreciated. And bye from Marion's World. I'll see you when you come and visit me next. Bye everyone.